In the fall of 1979, a low-budget feature originally titled A Long Night at Camp Blood began filming in New Jersey. Paramount wanted to capitalize on the success of Halloween, which came out the year prior. It was an easy way to spend and earn cash, much like they did with Orca and Grizzly to capitalize on Jaws' success. They hired Victor Miller to pen the script and Sean S. Cunningham to direct the picture. With promotional material already made, they began shooting. The location was a great choice for its simplicity and affordability. Being set in a summer camp near a lake called Camp Crystal Lake was always a good idea. The story begins with the young couple being murdered on June 13th, 1958. A year prior, a boy drowned, and from there what followed was a bunch of fires and water that was tampered with, making it unhealthy to open the camp. As luck would have it, on June 13th, 1979, a man by the name of Steve Christie has spent a supposed $25,000 to make restorations to the camp. With 6 camp counselors and Mr. Christie himself on the campground, they began to make restorations. With the release date of May 9th, 1980, the now titled Friday the 13th was unleashed upon the world. And even though it had a budget of $550,000, the box office gross was impressive, pulling in nearly $60 million worldwide. The film was a financial success. Critically, however, it was panned for being too gratuitous and violent. Over the years, it has developed a cult following, and a plethora of sequels, a battle with the iconic Freddy Krueger, and even a remake. Aspects that seem to get all the praise for this movie are the score by Harry Manfredini, the special makeup effects by Tom Savini, and Betsy Palmer's performance. While all those things are highly lovable, there are other aspects that work too. There is a certain charm to the film. It's very tedious with every character's action, and when dialogue is performed, the actors and actresses can play it with ease and a carefree nature, as if they had been friends for a long time, or just got along very well. I want to talk a bit more on the charm aspect. It makes the movie feel like a family show, which works because when someone gets their throat slit or unknowingly has sex under a corpse, it's quite sickening, and most of all, shocking. When the couple is having sex, it's like there's this silence, as if a pair of eyes are watching them, but that turns out to not be the case. With no time to scream, one of the characters is punctured through the neck with an arrow jutting out from under the bed. The killer was there the whole time. When you find out what the killer's motives are and you watch the scene again, you can almost picture the impatience and bloodlust waiting under that mattress, just waiting to kill. It's patience like that that can make a drawn-out scene all the more effective.
Not bad enough to have Friday the 13th. We gotta have a full moon, too. We keep statistics. We have more accidents, more rapes, more robberies, more homicides, and more of everything when there's a full moon. It upsets people. Makes them nuts.
By nightfall, the counselors seem to be disappearing one by one. It isn't until the remaining counselor discovers the latest body that the real shock and horror begins. There is the scene where Alice is making her way around the kitchen, and it's pure silence. Unbeknownst to her that everyone else is dead. Alice, played by Adrienne King, is our final girl. It is a formula that exists in a lot of slashers, most notably in the 80s. At the age of 13, I saw this movie. Perfect number to watch this movie at. When certain characters died, I felt sad. I liked everyone. The two that shocked me the most were Brenda and Bill. Brenda and Alice were the two good girls, or as good as could be, in this movie. But alas, there can only be one. They opted for an off-screen kill for Brenda, but I believe the scene was to involve arrows, fitting since she dies at the archery range, in a shakingly disturbing scene. She hears a voice, goes to investigate, only to be blinded by overhead lights, and not knowing what it was to come. I still have a hard time picturing how Bill was killed exactly. He was pinned to a door with arrows and had his throat slit. Which came first? It looks like where the arrows hit would have been fatal, but for how deep the wound was, there was no way you could have survived that slit throat. He was Alice's love interest, and he offered to stay with her until the morning after the storm passed. Too bad the generator went out, and he moronically went to fix it by himself. He probably never even knew of the threats that lurked in the darkness. When all the cards hit the table, and the killer was revealed, I was stunned. I had no prior knowledge of this movie at first watch. All I knew is that I could stare at the poster for the film for hours and never get bored. The dense woods lit by the bright moonlight, where 5 of the characters are huddled together in fear. No Ned, though. It's downright classic. The silhouette of the killer on the poster is ingenious.
Jason should have been watched every minute. He wasn't a very good swimmer.
The killer is none other than Betsy Palmer's iconic character of Mrs. Pamela Voorhees. For an actress who did the role as a cash grab, she did a phenomenal job. Her insanity was perfect. She was grieving for the loss of her supposedly deceased son, Jason Voorhees, and you believe it. Now, before we get into the climax and ending, I want to discuss the score. Harry Manfredini created the infamous unintentionally. It was supposed to be standing for Kill Mommy or Killer Mommy. It would have been a very subtle hint if it had sounded like that. The ending is downright beautiful, and the score amplifies it. After an encounter with Mrs. Voorhees that was already too much to take, Alice relaxes by a dock where her pursuer attacks. They fight on the beach until Alice lands the final blow, chopping off her head with a machete. By dawn, all is calm, and even tranquil. That is, until Jason's corpse bursts out of the lake and pulls Alice off her canoe that she was drifting on and into the waters of Camp Crystal Lake. That should have been the end. It would have been perfect, but the extension is still good too. It was a dream when Jason pulled her under. Her friends and fellow camp counselors are dead, and the looming possibility that Jason may still be down there is made even more eerie as we see a ripple break the surface of the placid waters of Camp Crystal Lake. What else can I say about Friday the 13th? Well, out of the 12 installments, this is in my top 3. They milked it, and by part 8, it had gone too far. I will admit that part 6 and even 7 went a little off the rails, and Mrs. Voorhees is more sneaky and crafty than Jason. She couldn't have done half the stuff to her victims face to face. Bow and arrow tactics came into play here. Out of the 9 kills, not including the killer herself, my favorite would either have to be Annie's slit throat or Marcy's axe to the face. Jack, played by Kevin Bacon, his death is easily number 3. It's iconic and shocking for all the right reasons. But Annie and Marcy had the shock, and then you just waited for the punch, and when it happened, it delivered. The whole movie delivers on numerous accounts. It is a bit more cult status and not the most popular in the series for most, but for me it will always have a special place in my heart. Happy Friday the 13th. Overall, I'd have to give the original Friday the 13th a 4.5 out of 5. Thank you all for watching, and I'm Brian Gatto, host of Horror Show Entertainment. Make sure to like my Facebook page in the description below to leave comments and subscribe.